review. If in doubt, download and read 2 to 3 recently published articles that are similar to your work. Most journals will not review your manuscript outside the online platform. Okay, so I'd avoid sending your manuscript to outside to the editor and say, oh, by the way, can you let me know whether this manuscript is compatible with in the scope of your journal? All right. Most editors do not reply you because we don't review manuscripts outside the review platform. Okay. However, if it is a review manuscript, it's okay to send the title and an outline to editor and see whether they can get permission if you want to write a full review manuscript. Does the work advance scientific knowledge? All right. Again, we've talked about it when I was talking about grant applications. Okay, is this horizontal contribution whereby the same information is available in previous articles, but you simply use a different sample? All right, it very likely will not be accepted by a very, very good journal. All right. Okay, in contrast, if it's a vertical contribution whereby it's new information that builds on previous articles, all right, then you have a chance of your manuscript being accepted for peer review. All right. Does the work contain mechanistic approach or simply analytical? All right. Okay. Information is usually required on how a compound works. Mechanism of action is what gets your papers published in a regular journal. All right. So, for example, if you have a manuscript that looks at the effect of a food product on plasma lipids, and you measure only lipids, of course, nothing wrong with that, but it lacks mechanism. All right. Whereas if you do the same thing, all right, and you measured not only lipids, but you measured the enzymes associated with lipid metabolism, all right, then now you are going into mechanism, and that offers a chance for your work to be accepted for peer review. All right. Are the data of sufficient quality and quantity to be of interest to readers and the scientific community? Okay, you have to ask yourself that. All right. What is the likelihood that the article will receive multiple citations in 3, 5, or 10 years? All right. Most editors also take that into consideration. Is this something that we published and that's it? Nobody cares about it. Okay. Or you publish it and even 10 years time, it is still being cited. All right. That is what some editors look for before they accept your manuscript for peer review. Okay. Now, so now you've determined that your work is suitable for the journal. Okay, proper use of English is very, very important. Again, does the title convey a correct message that reflects that the work was done? All right. Okay, the major outcomes. Okay. Generally, is the manuscript written using correct English grammatical expressions to enable comprehension by reviewers? All right. Remember that you are publishing your work, and therefore people who are reading the work must understand what you have written. Otherwise, they cannot appreciate the quality of your work. So very, very important. Okay, the good thing is that these days we do have a lot of tools to make sure that the English grammar is well constructed. Are tables and figures clear and easy to understand? All right. Again, where you need a table, don't use a figure. Where you need a figure, don't use a table. All right. You want to make sure that reviewers, and also readers eventually can easily understand the outcomes of your work. All right. In terms of the abstract, does it state why and how the work was done? Are the results presented strongly to convince readers? All right. Are you using qualitative or quantitative report? Okay. Qualitative simply means we did this and it led to an increase in this, a decrease in that. Okay, sometimes that is not very useful. Instead, why not use a quantitative approach? Okay, we provided 10 grams of this product to people. They ate it. Okay, they gained 50 pounds. Okay, within 2 weeks. Okay, like that. You want to provide data. Okay, that actually shows the outcome of your work instead of just a descriptive, abstract. Use a more data-driven abstract where you actually provide data. It's more interesting for people when they read data rather than just a description. All right. And more importantly, you want to highlight if there's any novel finding, okay, from your work. The introduction is very, very important. Does it provide sufficient background information on the topic or samples that are being used? Okay, because again, remember, the reviewer might not actually know about your sample. Okay, it's good to provide sufficient background information. Okay, all right. Is a gap in scientific knowledge identified? Did you identify a scientific gap, or you're just doing this for fun? Okay, why are you doing it? What is the reason? Okay, is sufficient literature cited to show previous results by other authors? Okay, have you shown what has been achieved before? Okay, to basically be a rationale, okay, for you to do this work. All right, is sufficient justification provided for conducting the work? All right, the objectives are very, very important. Is your objective clear? Is it meaningful? All right. Your objective should point to potential novel outcomes or discovery. All right. Okay. It should show that something new is going to come out of this work. Okay. Something new down the road when they read this manuscript, something you're going to encounter something new. All right. Otherwise, the editor might just say, it's just a normal manuscript. There's nothing new here. Okay. And they will not send it for peer review. Okay. Methodology. Is it clear and appropriate? All right. Okay. They are looking at the fact that your methods, okay, does your method address your objectives? All right. Are they clear for somebody to understand it and replicate it in their lab? Remember, we publish papers so that other people can replicate our work if necessary. All right. So is it very clear so that somebody in Australia can take your methodology and replicate it successfully? All right. Is the experimental approach acceptable? All right. That is, does it address your objective? If your experimental approach is wrong, okay, then that's a problem. All right. Did you describe your protocols properly or very sketchy? All right. And of course, you must use correct statistical analysis, okay, to show, okay, significant differences, for example, or trends or correlations, all right, in your work. All right. These are methodology is very, very important for a lot of reviewers. Okay. Now, so now in case of people who use animal or human trials, okay, and I'm not going to spend much time on this because maybe many of you don't, but okay, oral feeding, okay, is very, very important, except if you want to get into medicinal, journals. Okay, for most other journals, you must do oral feeding, otherwise it becomes medicinal. All right. So intraperitoneal injection, intramuscular skin applications. All right. These are all medicinal, chemistry, right? Okay. Of course, your trials must obtain ethics approval. Very, very important. If you are doing animal or human trials, you must obtain institutional ethics approval, okay, to show that, okay, the work, okay, has, passed ethics, regulations. Your results and discussion. Is your data interpretation adequate? Okay, don't just gloss over important outcomes. Okay, try to emphasize important outcomes. All right, why are they important? Okay, all right, show the novelty there. Okay, why is it different? Okay, from previous published literature. Okay, all right, are the conclusion consistent with reported data? Again, don't exaggerate. All right, you must be sure that what you are talking about, okay, is consistent with your data. Don't extrapolate excessively. All right, we call it stretching of data, all right, or stretching of facts. Okay, all right, you cannot say, oh, because we went to the moon, that means also we can use the same vehicle to go to Mars. No, you can't just extrapolate like that. That is excessive. It's unreasonable stretching of the facts. All right. Okay. And of course, references are very important. Follow the journal's guideline as required. Avoid excessive self-citation. All right. Okay. It's not about yourself alone. It's about scientific literature, not just your work. Okay. I think I've covered most of this, because of time. Formatting, I just have like 5 more minutes. Okay, formatting, most journals have strict formatting rules, and therefore please read the instructions. There's page, word limit to number of tables, citation style within the text, reference style. Okay, all these are contained in the instructions to authors. Okay, so please read them very well, understand the formatting requirements. Otherwise, some journals will return your manuscript to you, okay, to reformat it, okay, to meet the required style. I mean, some journals have freestyle whereby you can use any style you want, and that's okay, all right? Now, of course, your tables and figures, all right? Uh, some journals have strict formatting rules for tables and figures, and therefore you must read instructions. Okay, some journals will require that you upload your figures individually, okay, or as PDF files. All right. Check the quality of your figure. All right, and the tables. Okay, make sure your tables are cited consecutively. Tables and figures are cited consecutively within the text. All right. If you have excessive number of tables and figures, you can move some of them into the supplementary file. All right, that's acceptable. But you must mention them in the text, all right, to show that these extra tables and figures are in the supplementary file. Okay, again, you have freestyles that allows, figures to be inserted anywhere, or at the end of the text, okay, and so on and so forth. Now, if you reproduce figures or tables, all right, from other publications, it is very important that you get permission from the original authors, okay, if it's open access, or from the publisher if it's a subscription style article. All right, please get permission before you use other people's figures or table, especially in your review. If you are doing review manuscript, plagiarism, okay. Most journals now will run your manuscript through plagiarism detection software, all right? And so if the content of your manuscript is too similar to published literature, they will return it to you, all right? So it's always good to do your own similarity check before you submit the manuscript, all right? In general, manuscripts with greater than 40% similarity index, okay, are returned, okay, to the authors, okay, because it's just too similar to scientific literature, all right? As a general rule, therefore, you want to keep your similarity index, okay, below 25% to avoid desk rejection or to avoid delay in processing the manuscript for peer review. Okay, the major source of similarity is methodology because sometimes you use the same methodology, right, for different papers. So even if you use the same methodology, the same protocols, rephrase the sentences for each manuscript to reduce overlap. All right, use different words to describe the protocols. Okay, and don't just copy and paste from your previous manuscript. All right. In terms of thesis, some journals will not accept your manuscript if the plagiarism software detects high similarity with the published thesis, even if it is your thesis. Okay? And therefore, you can request that your library delay online publication of your thesis until all your manuscripts have been published. All right? Or you can rewrite the manuscript to reduce the text overlap with your thesis. So don't think because it's your thesis, it's my thesis, all right, I can just copy and paste and publish it. No, some journals will reject it. They'll say, you are simply trying to publish the same thing that is already, your thesis is already published. So you cannot publish it twice. All right. That's the logic. Okay. Double submissions, publication ethics prohibits submissions to two journals at the same time. All right. Okay. Even if it's to different publishers, don't do that. Okay. Be very patient. Submit to one. If it's rejected, submit to the next one. Avoid double, submissions. Okay. Because each publisher has software to detect if a manuscript has been submitted to more than one journal in their portfolio. So they can detect it and they will reject your manuscript. All right. Double submissions are not allowed because eventually the manuscript can only be published in one journal anyway, and therefore it becomes a waste of time. Remember, editors work on it, reviewers work on it, editorial staff. okay, processing, all right? Okay, so it's a waste of time for two journals to review your manuscript at the same time because eventually only one journal is going to publish it. So you have wasted the time, okay, of the other journal, all right? So that is why double submission is not allowed, all right? As a rule, all detected double submissions are rejected outright without further processing, and sometimes you can be prohibited from resubmitting the manuscript to the journal. Okay. And very important, don't resubmit an already rejected manuscript to the same journal without a prior approval from the editor, because the journal system will recognize as a copy of the previously rejected version. All right. So if your manuscript is rejected, if you want to resubmit it, get permission from the editor. All right. Don't just rework it and submit to the same journal. Okay. You can submit to another journal, but not to the same journal. All right. If it's the same journal, you want to get the editor's permission. All right. Now, in terms of animal and human feeding experiments, I've said this already. You need institution ethics approval. Materials used must be clearly defined, okay, especially for human trials. The root of it, we talked about this already, so I'm just going to move because of time. All right. The change of authors. Yeah, this is very important. All right. Only people who made significant contributions to the manuscript, okay, can be co-authors, and their permission must be obtained before adding their names. Don't add people's name as a favor, all right, okay, or without their knowledge or without their permission, okay. If the editor find out, okay, the paper can be retracted, all right. People who provided pure service, okay, need not be added as co-authors, all right. Rather, they can be listed as, in the actual anonymous, section. I mean, except if they really, if they really demand that they be listed as co-author, but if simply a technical service, okay, they need not be added, all right. Change of authors is permissible by most journals only up to the manuscript acceptance stage. Requests to add authors after a manuscript has been accepted are usually denied because it means that person who was missing did not read the manuscript, and therefore it's illegal to add their name. All right? Therefore, disputes regarding authorship must be resolved before the manuscript is accepted. So you cannot add a person as a co-author without their permission, please. All right? Research collaborators, okay, cannot exclude co-authors based on personal differences. If after you have written the manuscript, you have a personal difference with somebody who was a co-author, you cannot remove their name simply because you had, personal difference with them. No. Okay, they already contributed to the manuscript and therefore they must remain co-authors. Students, postdocs, other trainees cannot publish manuscripts without permission of their supervisors. Very, very important. All right. Okay. So responding to reviewers' comments, editors depend on reviewers to assess the scientific quality of your manuscript. Therefore, a proper response, okay, must be provided to reviewers' comments. You can disagree with the reviewers' comment, all right? But you must provide a strong reason or rationale for the disagreement. Avoid replying with rude or disrespectful sentence. Okay, try and be polite. Even if the reviewer is rude, you try and be polite. Okay, because remember, you're the one that has something at stake here. All right. Be as detailed as possible in your responses. If possible, cite previous articles to back up your response or disagreement. All right. If the reviewer requests additional experiment, you can perform it or reply with evidence that the experiment is not necessary or will not add value to the manuscript. You have a right to say, you know what, this experiment, okay, it does not add value to the manuscript and therefore it's not necessary. Okay. Similarly, if a reviewer requests for some data to be removed, you could do so. Okay. But if you think that a removal will lead to a lower scientific quality of your article, you can argue, okay, that the data, okay, need to be retained, okay, because of this reason, okay, because it adds quality, okay, to the article. A controversial issue is when a reviewer suggests a list of references to be cited and they all have similar authors. Okay, you can't refuse by indicating that the lack of fit to your manuscript. Some reviewers like their manuscripts to be cited, and so they say, "Oh, you cite all these manuscripts." You can say, "No, it doesn't have any relationship with my manuscript." Okay, and the editor will agree. So after your manuscript has been accepted, please make sure that you review the galley proof, okay, because you want to catch errors, all right, okay. Be patient, okay, like I said, okay. Note that any major change in the text or the figures or tables is not allowed at this stage of the galley proof without permission of the editor. You cannot change anything apart from grammatical errors, okay, or simple omissions. Once you approve the galley proof and the article is published online, no further changes are allowed. However, if you detect a major error, okay, you can publish what is called a corrigendum,
Sir,
okay, all right.
we have just 4 minutes more. I'm so
Okay,
sorry.
yeah, I'm just rounding up
Thank
now.
you
So
very much.
that was the last slide. So the corrigendum is simply okay to correct what was missing. All right, it is not to provide new information. Okay. So again, yeah, that is actually my talk. I apologize, it took a little bit long. I thought I should cover extensively some of the aspects of the manuscript because that's where most people have problems. And so, yeah, thank you so much again for the invitation, and hopefully we'll have some time for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate you. We are still going to appreciate you so very well during the vote of thanks. But prior to that, before we go into question and answer, let me allow the National President of Mycotoxicology Society of Nigeria. The other time, we didn't really, it was difficult for him to join us to give his welcome address. Please permit me to welcome him to give his welcome address. Then we now ask our questions and answer period. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much, my distinguished prof. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone, wherever we are joining all over the world. I want to welcome all of us to the second edition of the international webinar by our Amiable Society. And without mixing words, I want to appreciate our keynote speaker, our distinguished professor of eminence, distinguished Professor Rotimi Aluko, for creating time to educate us on why we need to learn the habits and the nitty-gritty involved in writing grants and publishing in a high impact factor. Paul has been a beacon of light and kind of hope for this generation. He has really, really mentored a lot of people, and we are very grateful, Paul, for creating time to educate us and for being a father to ensure that we are doing well in this career. And on behalf of the Regent Board of Trustees and the executive of this society, we say thank you very much, sir. And we welcome all our distinguished professors all over the world. I can see a lot of vice chancellors, a lot of relevant stakeholders that join us in this program. We are very, very grateful, and we hope we continue to partner together in order to ensure that we meet the needs of the ever increasing population. We might be black, but our brain is not black. And God has really, really blessed us with a lot of resources. And we now need to highlight all these in identifying whatever we have in resolving our locally available challenges. On this note, I want to thank my immediate past president, distinguished Professor Yamisi, for the good moderation. And thank you for allowing me to talk. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so very much, sir, our president. Let me just permit me to read all the questions pasted on the chat box. The first one, Professor, somebody asks if he said, to what extent can we apply AI or ChatGPT in preparing a grant research proposal or a manuscript for an high impact journal publication, and what is the weakness what are the weaknesses? That's the first question, sir. Can I read through all the questions, Prof, sir?
No, it might be easier to just answer one at a time.
Okay, sir.
Because I may not remember. Yeah, in terms of using AI, I think it's very clear. All journals have made it very clear that you can use AI mostly for non-technical purposes, like grammar, for example. The style of your manuscript. But AI, in terms of generative AI, to generate the information, the technical details for your manuscript, that is not acceptable. All right. Even for example, if you use AI to collect, like various information for your introduction, all right, it is required that you rewrite it with your own words. In fact, I'm currently dealing with an issue now with my journal of functional foods, all right, whereby, when the manuscript was submitted, and then after peer review, the authors, the submitted revision, we found out that the authors basically use AI, okay, to rewrite a lot of the technical details, and those authors now have been informed that that's not acceptable. All right, that could maybe rejected. So don't use AI to generate scientific data or information for your manuscript. You can use it as a tool, basically to fine tune the grammar or the style, for your manuscript. But generative AI is strictly, discouraged.
Thank you very much, sir. You have really told us that we should avoid the use of AI. We can just use it to get our ideas. Then we use our own English to draft it. Thank you, sir. Another person asked a question. He said, as a young researcher, how do I know that a particular research idea of mine can be developed for a grant proposal? Over to you, sir.
Oh, yeah, that's a very good question. Like you say, if you're a young researcher, it's always good sometimes also, before you write a grant proposal, to look at literature publications in that field. Okay, take some time, check what has been published in that field. Okay, what is the scope of the publication? What has been published? What do we know? All right, that will basically tell you in terms of whether your idea, okay, is new, or whether your idea is already been fully, explored in literature. All right. Now, don't always underestimate yourself. Some people, they have an idea, they say, maybe this idea will not flow. No, it could flow. Okay. What you need to do, like I said, is check literature. Okay. Make sure that the idea has not been fully explored before, or the angle you want to explore, okay, is very critical to fully exploring that topic. All right. Okay. Because somebody has worked on, say, soybean, doesn't mean you cannot do another angle on soybean. All right. Okay. It depends on how you write it. Okay. It must provide critical new information. If you check literature and there is not really much information in that idea that you have, then it's a new idea. Go ahead with it, write it, and make sure that you emphasize what is new about it, okay, and how it can lead into novel information. That's what matters. Sometimes it's a matter of basically using very persuasive language that makes sense, all right, that rely on literature, okay, to show that yes, this is not available in literature, and that's why I want to do it.
Thank you very much, sir. Another question is, I don't really know, sir, maybe you'll be able to understand this question, but I don't know. Let me just read it. It said, can you please, oh, sorry, many of them are requesting for the slides. That's one. And then another thing is, the person wrote, express your concern on the non-implementation of research findings by policymakers in developing countries like Nigeria. So that was how the person put it. So I don't really
Yeah.
know if you can understand. Okay, sir.
Well, I mean, I'm in Nigeria myself. I did my my early career in Nigeria before I left. So it's a long time ago now. Yeah, I think it has to do with the political system, right? Okay. Uh, Here, I'll give an example. Here in Canada, where I live, the government has a lot of respect for scientists. The system has a lot of support. I'm sure you probably heard recently, because of the political tension with the United States, the government actually created a new program called the Canada Impact, program whereby they are providing, believe it or not, I think it's about $1 billion to recruit, new scientists into Canada. But what is actually more important is, apart from that, you know, whatever is generated in science, the government, there are programs that allow you to interact with the private sector, to see whether that knowledge can be transferred to the private sector. All right. Some of the key, advances in space, in cell phone, these were all developed in universities. Many people don't know that. All right. So I think the problem with the Nigerian situation is just that the focus, of the political class, is different, from the academic, improvement that we all want. All right. Unfortunately, I'm not a politician. I'm just saying it, and I don't mean to insult anybody, but there is really very, very little focus by the political class in terms of how do we drive innovation in the country using knowledge generated from the universities. The government has to be that facilitator. In many countries, South Korea, Australia, United States, the government, provides that bridge, between the industry, and academia. All right. That bridge is very important. And that bridge requires money. It's not just talk. They provide that money that allows me, for example, to talk to somebody in the industry and say, hey, I have the technology. You want to license it? All right. So that's my point. So apart from funding original research, the government must also serve as a bridge between academia and the industry. All right. I think that's what needs to happen, really. The same thing with policy. All right, in terms of making sure that the government relies or they trust the academia, that whatever is generated, can be used to formulate public policy. I just think it has to do with the political class, the focus, unfortunately. That will be my opinion. In terms of the slides, I'm going to send the slides to Professor Adetunji, and then he can distribute it to anybody who wants the slides.
Thank you so much, sir. One more question, sir. Somebody wrote here, the person wants to know if reviewers or editors consider age in awarding grants, and is asking this in relation to securing a postdoctoral job. So that's the question, and that's the last question, sir.
No, actually in developed countries, I mean, as far as I know, in North America here, there is no question about age when you are applying for postdoctoral fellow. Age is not a consideration. Age is not a consideration in jobs here. Your CV is not required. You are not required to put your age on your CV. So yeah, we don't consider age. Yeah, we consider the skills that people have. Age is just a number here. Nobody looks at age for jobs and also for things like postdoc. Yeah, we don't. But I don't know of other places, but definitely in North America, age is not a factor in those things.
Thank you so much, sir, for clarifying this, because many people believe that once they get to a particular age, there is no need for them to apply for postdoctoral research. On this note, sir, we want to really go into the vote of thanks. We really appreciate you so very well. On behalf of the President of Mycotoxicology Society of Nigeria, the Board of Trustees, all the executives and members of the association, and all the participants, the distinguished participants, respected colleagues, and esteemed guests, we want to say thank you. It's a pleasure to deliver. It is my pleasure to deliver this vote of thanks, and on deliver the vote of thanks. And I want to first and foremost appreciate Professor Rotimi Aluko for sharing his vast knowledge, experience, and practical insights with us today. And your presentation has actually provided a valuable guidance on developing competence research proposal and strengthening scientific writings and positioning research outputs to address critical issues in food safety and nutrition. And the clarity with which you explain strategies for successful grant application, script preparation has certainly equipped most of the participants, including me, with tools that will enhance their research, our research productivities and global visibility. We sincerely appreciate your time you have devoted to prepare and deliver this comprehensive and inspiring presentation, despite your very busy schedule, and the depth of knowledge you shared and the practical perspective you offer will undoubtedly benefit all the researchers present here today, the academia, and students who aspire to improve the quality and impact of our scholar work. Special appreciation goes to the organizing committee, the president, the board of trustees and members of this our organization. We also acknowledge all participants who joined from different locations. Your active engagement throughout questions and contributions during the discussion section greatly enriched the webinar and made it a vibrant academic exchange. And finally, we extend our gratitude to every individual and institutions, and most especially the vice chancellors that are present here that have supported our programs. Your collective supports continue to strengthen collaboration, knowledge sharing, and capacity building within the research community. And once again, we thank our speaker, Professor Rotimi Aluko, the organizer, and all the participants for making the webinar a remarkable and impactful event. Thank you all for your attention, and we look forward to continued collaboration and future engagement. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir. Let me welcome Mrs. Talatu for your
Thank
speech.
you. Thank you very much, ma'am. On behalf of the MSN family, we want to express our gratitude to the facilitator, Professor Aluko. Thank you, sir. We also thank all the participants. We thank the president, the executive president, and the entire family. Thank you all. God bless you all for joining us. Thank you, ma, for stepping in to moderate the webinar. God bless you, ma.
Amen. Thank you.
God bless you all.
I think we have to bring today's webinar, the second webinar of this great association, to a pause. I want to say thank you and bye-bye. And I want on to Professor Rotimi Aluko. Please, we are going to continue our discussion online. Thank you very much. We appreciate
Thanks,
it.
everyone. Best of luck in
Bye.
your careers.
So
Thank
God
you.
bless you, sir. Thank you. We are
Thank you so
grateful.
much.
Thank you, sir.
We invite you again, sir.
Thank you, sir. We
Thank
really
you very much,
appreciate
sir.
it.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
Thank you,
everyone.
sir. Thank
Thank
you
you, sir.
to all the
sir.
participants.
Everybody.
Thank you, the PRO president,
Yes,
our
Presido.
able
Thank you.
moderator, our former president for the votes of thanks. We are grateful to you all. God bless you all.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, sir.
Director of
Prof.
Training.
Thank you, our thank you, sir. Oh, thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam. You are doing great job.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Up.
We thank God. God bless you, sir.
God bless you, ma.
We thank the president for his great support.
Ingenuity.
Yes, sir.
Thank
We thank the PRO. We thank everyone for your contribution, for your support, for being there, for finding time to join.
Well done, ma.
We are deeply grateful. Thank you, ma.
Yes, ma.
Thank you to everyone.
My director.
Everyone.
Bye, ma.
Bye-bye.
Yes,
we
ma.
are deeply grateful.